Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Friends Talking Shit about FPL. Merry Christmas all round from our family to your family. You're here for your best present of the festive season, which is a big double game week chat. Andy, how are you going, mate?
Heck yes. Whenever there's more FPL, I'm pretty happy. So I am stoked about this. And also, chuffed about this week's result. Yeah, chuffed about this week's result. I wasn't until you shared with me that I got a green arrow. Because I didn't think I was going to get a green arrow.
Yeah, it was a high-scoring game week all round. I think it was tough. If you went for anything other than a Salah captain, you probably were a little bit off the pace. But if you're a Salah captain, I think you got a safe green arrow. And yeah, you're looking at some quite high scores, and you're thinking making some gains. And I don't think people in the higher brackets kind of made similar gains. I picked up a green arrow myself and managed to jump up like another 800,000 places. So great for me. But I think if you're like in a similar position to where you are, those greens are always a bit smaller.
Yeah, and I think the thing which surprised me about my green arrow was that I had so many points on the bench. I benched Rogers and I benched Colwill. So there's like 17 points on the bench there, right? So I just didn't think that I could get a green arrow because of how much I had on the bench and how many people would have played Rogers. So I was really surprised when I actually did get a green arrow. But anyway, we'll get into that. Pardon I guess my recording quality is a bit different from the usual. I'm out away from home for 3 weeks, which is good. We're at the in-laws, taking some time out, relaxing, or would it be extra time spent on FPL? I would like to think so, but probably not. So yeah, we'll see, But anyway, let's where do we start? Where are we starting today, Sam?
Oh well, let's just hit up with our teams. You've led into it. Why don't you bring up your team? It shows how you went for the game week. What decisions you regret and what could have gone better?
Yeah, all right, let's do it. So here's me for the week. I got 86 points all up. Raya in goal, 3 points. Timber with 1 point. Vardio with 0 points. I expected more from these guys, but then again, they are playing Aston Villa. Do I sell him? Well, they've got some pretty good fixtures coming up, so I don't know if I would sell him just yet. Robinson, I brought in Robinson. I'm happy about that. That was 6 points. That was a 6 point clean sheet, which is good. Palmer with 3, Saka with 1, disappointing, and came off after only 25 minutes. I think it was 23 minutes. A bit worried about Saka. Ahmad, 2 points. Salah captain came in clutch. Jackson with 2. Cunha. Now I was umming and ahhing about setting Cunha, but because of the whole elbowing the one of the coaches from Leicester or Ipswich or whichever it was, but he did end up playing and came in with 9 points, and then Isaac with 17, and this was the heartbreaker. Colwill with 6 and Rogers with 14. Oh, that was 20 points on the bench that I benched, which would have taken me up to significantly higher. But anyway, regardless, I got 88 points and I still end up with a green arrow. Now, I did lose our head-to-head, which is disappointing, but I was so surprised at the green arrow. 260,000. I'm actually stoked about that. Like, I didn't think... Yeah, I just didn't think I would get a green arrow because as we get to, sub half a mil, I just would have thought everyone would be so dialed in that, like benching a Rogers would just punish me so hard.
Yeah, but this week was one of those weeks that we talked about last week about just really looking at the fixtures, and when you take the two big captaincy options, I think were Palmer and Salah. So you've got Palmer at Everton and Salah at Spurs. Like just off looking at it very briefly, Palmer at Everton seems like the better choice. But then when you dial deep and then you look at, Everton have had a few game weeks where they've had like some back-to-back clean sheets. They've defensively looked better. They've got people coming back and they've made it tough for some tough opponents. As opposed to Spurs, who've got 3 or 4 of their main backline out injured. It seemed like it could be a high-scoring affair. Liverpool have been scoring fun. Spurs have been putting a few in as well. So when you kind of look at it like that, if you're expecting goals, you go with the person who's scoring the goals, and then yeah, so for me, it kind of came down to that, and that's why we went Salah. But I think a few people would have been in a different boat. Less of an issue, less of a thing for you, but like obviously around my rank, I'm going to have a few people who have missed the deadline or haven't changed their team for a few weeks. Who are still captained Haaland, who would have helped me out. It was a week you could have gone with an Isak captain, and that didn't work out too badly either. So,
You still would have walked away with 34 points if you captain Isaac.
yeah, so it's still a good return. Yeah, it, I think anytime you see 80 odd points, you want to think it's a green arrow, but yeah, it can be tricky to get one, especially in the big weeks. But yeah, I think overall, yeah, you did well, mate. You captained the right person, and I think half of it this year is captaining the right person in the right week.
It's interesting when I look at it. I don't know why people would have captained Salah, to be honest. Oh, sorry, no, not Salah. Palmer, to be honest, because the week before, I think that was a hard choice. The week before was a harder choice than this week because to me, this week was like, and I know I'm saying this in hindsight, but I genuinely felt this was Palmer playing Everton. Everton's a stronger defense than Tottenham. Tottenham play a high line. That they're known for defensive frailties and they're known for high scoring games, right? So no matter how I looked at it, I'm like, no, I was always going to captain Salah against Tottenham just because it's playing Tottenham. Like anyone who plays Tottenham, I'm like, oh yeah, there's probably going to be decent scores there.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it was a fairly easy one when it was all said and done. I did have a late little temptation to go with Isak, but I didn't in the end. I stuck with my plan, and this is how I shook out in the end.
99, good score, my friend.
99 points, 270 for the game week, 1,000. Sells in net with 7, Robinson with 6, Gabriel with 4, Timber with 1. Slightly disappointing. Gabriel did pick up an assist. Rogers with 14, coming in clutch. Palmer 3, Saka with the 1, Salah 42, Isak 17, Jackson 2, João Pedro 2. Even I had some stuff on my bench. Fabianski 3, not that bothered. Ahmad with 2. And then Hall and Kirkes both with 7 and 6. So decent points there. And the transfers that I made this week, I transferred Aina out, and Aina got 14 points for Robinson, so I was down some points there. And I got rid of Johnson for Ahmad, and he had some points there. So I was actually down for about 14 points after my transfers, but that's okay. So that has kind of green arrows everywhere, really, which has jumped me up to from the 2.3 to 1.5. So sneaking up. And I think when we quickly when we talk about FPL a bad start, it's really important to make sure that you're going for those week to week changes and you're not trying to make the big changes. I think I know I keep saying I'm a bit lost and stuff, but if I just share this screen for you, this is my game weeks and the rank as it's gone through the season. So you said awful start when I hung on with Bruno, hung on with Eze, didn't want to move, and then after you just change your mind, reset your team with the wild card, and it's just been gradually slow pick up since then. A couple of little plateaued down weeks, but it's all about the little pickups. It's about the little wins. It's about making each week better. Christmas starts with a bang. 99 points.
You know what they say? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
That is very true.
Mate, that's really cool. You get all this data that shows you all the like where you were and stuff. I'll be really curious to see my graph. But because I feel like I dipped back down a few times as well. But mate, with your rank now, easily I could see if you keep up this momentum, you'll be in the top 500,000 by end of the season, surely.
I'd hope so. And that's why I'm just slowly making some changes and deciding to not try and do anything dramatic. Like my differentials that I'm going for need to be thought out. They need to be managed. And yeah, so it is just a slow, constant change, definitely. So yeah, and I think just make sure you don't do anything rash. Like I think it's quite easy to be down in the millions and then make a rash change and decide, oh, I think this player from Ipswich is going to score 4 this week, and then then you're all sorts of in trouble.
It's interesting. Every week I'm tempted to captain a differential, but with where I'm at in the ranking, I should just keep playing it safe. Like, if I look at my goal isn't to be the number one player in the world. I actually I'm just very unlikely, and I really don't care about that street cred. For me, it's like, oh, if I can end up in the top, what did I say, 500,000, top 300,000, I'm stoked. That's if every season I can just do that, I am super super happy, right? As someone who knows bugger all about football, I'd be quite chuffed with that. So if that's the case, I shouldn't be taking many risks, like legitimately. Whereas, but here's my other thought as well, though. I think even with your rank, I don't think you need to take many risks either. Like, I feel like there'll be enough people who are taking risks that don't pay off. That as long as you can keep consistent and keep with the pack, naturally, so many people will just fall off away from the pack. You're going to hit higher ranks.
Yeah, which is I think where my differentials are going to come from. There's an injury and everyone's going for one player just to try and go a little bit different just for the few weeks. When like the other week where Salah was the captain for the game week and then he didn't play, so I went with the differential captain that week. Like those small things, I think are the way I'll pick up points when people are split. Like that was a captain week where it was like 33% in a few different camps. So you're not losing out on like 80% if everyone's going to go for Salah. So when there's an obvious captaincy pick, you go with the captaincy pick. When there's a potential differential with an upside, so if they say Salah is playing, Man United, and like generally does good against Man United, and then Palmer is playing, Palace, who've just got 3 injuries. You could go with the Palmer option to try and get the leg up. But yeah, I don't think making I'm not going to be captaining Kirkes this week because I have a feeling about him because that's just suicide.
I reckon the thing which helps you the most, but can also damage you the most, is actually the differential captain. Like getting differentials in your team, I don't think makes that much of a difference. It can keep, I think having good differentials keeps bumping up your team marginally every week, so your rises and falls are slow enough that you can adjust it, like transfer that person out and get back to the pack if you need to.
Yeah.
But it's the captain differentials which can really launch you into the stratosphere, or you just find yourself like 30 points behind and be like, oh crap, I got way more to catch up now.
And take the Haaland opening weeks. Like if you didn't have Haaland, you didn't captain Haaland, you were 45 points behind. That's even if you didn't triple captain.
And if you look at our points difference, literally a good chunk of it is that triple captain for Haaland.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
So it's it's hard to look at the difference there because I'm still holding on to my triple captain. Won't play it for a while, and we won't really learn how much that triple captain was worth until the majority of the rest of them are played, which will happen in the second half of the season.
I think the triple captainship now is harder to use because of that manager chip that's in.
Yeah,
Because that manager chip that's in prevents a triple captainship from being used.
yeah, but
Sorry, so what I mean is you can't use both. And the manager chip rolls for 3 weeks.
yeah, yeah, and it's like, are you trying to, if we had some back-to-back double game weeks, I think the manager chip could be a bit more powerful because if you just keep rolling through managers who've got double game weeks, great. But the way that it's at the moment, I think I'm still going to plan on the way I talked about the other week, about just targeting a team and picking a manager and moving between a manager, make sure I have the funds to move between a manager for a few weeks. Because I think having not played the triple captain, I am looking at that Liverpool double game week for the triple captain.
Yeah, fair. Well, mate, let's look at where do we go? I'm excited. Like, do we look at our teams first? Do you want to look at the matches?
Was that just out of memory? I'll bring them up. Was there any scores in the games week just gone that you were shocked by or didn't see coming? I mean, the first one, I don't think anyone was predicting a 9-goal game. Spurs Liverpool. I think we were maybe looking at 3-3, something like that, or a 1-1, or 3-0 Liverpool win. But I don't think anyone was thinking a 6-3.
I know I'm an Arsenal fan, but I have to say this about Tottenham. They make EPL really interesting. Imagine this season, not even just this season, imagine if you replace Tottenham with a team that is super defensive, locks things down. I just feel like FPL would just be a lot more boring. Having Spurs makes FPL really interesting.
Yeah, I think Spurs fans would disagree with you, but yeah, I mean they do. I love that they go for it, and then they are trying to win these games, and they're always, the Ange ball is always, it's high tempo, it's going for the win, it's scoring, and that it does have goals conceded. The problem is, you need a change of game plan. Like, this game plan probably isn't going to work against a team that is fully fit and firing. Like, you can't go into it with 3 defenders down and expect them to take up the slack. Like, when Liverpool do that, or have done in the years past, you could kind of rely on the back of Robbo, Van Dijk, and other centre-back to squash those counter-attacks. The Spurs defensive line has got Jed Spence in it at the moment, who's a great young player, but he's a young player not really known to this league, and you're asking him to stop Mohamed Salah breaking on you on a counter-attack and then flicking the ball across. It didn't really work, and you can kind of see there with Szoboszlai with 3 assists from that number 10 role. He was just pulling people into the play. Liverpool were 5-1 up at one point, took a few people off, coasted, and then it was 6-3. Like, this game could have been 9-0 if Liverpool really put the foot down. But Spurs took their chances well. They were, like, especially Kulusevski was clinical, but they didn't create enough, and they didn't overpower Liverpool enough, and they gave space in too many wide areas and too many areas close to their own goal, and that bit them in the arse.
I'm surprised Son didn't get on the score sheet at all. That's something which I find surprising. And you asked me which matches surprised me. The 2 on the bottom of your screen now surprised me. Everton versus Chelsea, that full surprised me, and Brentford versus Nottingham Forest. Brentford, I don't think haven't not scored this season. This is the first time Brentford's not scored.
Yeah, so these two, starting with the Forest one, this kind of, for me, kind of cements that those Forest players that we have had in their good run are still viable now. Like, there's still people we can have in our teams and play them in good weeks. And the Everton-Chelsea game really kind of sticks out that maybe those Everton defenders are real differentials now. Maybe they are real people we can have in our squad. Like, 5-6 weeks ago, you were looking at, say, like a Milinkovic, and then like a Keane or something like that from Everton, and you're thinking, this backline's a bit shaky. And now you could quite easily be sitting there with Mikolenko, Aina, and say Kirkes from Bournemouth, and you'd be completely fine.
I'll be looking at Ashley Young as well.
Yeah.
The not so old Young. He's not that old. He's not yet that young anymore. Sorry,
Ashley old.
But have you seen his score history? It's really good.
Yeah, it's not too bad, and they are still picking up clean sheets, and they're picking up clean sheets against reasonable opposition. So, I think if you need the money elsewhere, I think Everton assets, they're not always going to get you clean sheets, and when they don't, you might end up with a -1 or a -2. But in the long run, I think they will pull out some good clean sheets for you, especially against like lower up opposition teams that they need to grind out some points.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, Arsenal versus Palace. What are your thoughts on that? Like, that was a high scoring game. That's what the Everton game should have been for Arsenal. But Saka's injured. Gabriel Jesus is now in. What are your thoughts on Saka, and also what are your thoughts on like potentially having Jesus in as a striker?
Well, you will see what my thoughts about Jesus when we come to the team section. But I think for an Arsenal team that's put out a certain team and a certain style, having Jesus in there is a little bit different. It's a little bit of a team structure difference. And the only thing is a little bit of a gamble if Arteta is going to put out that same team or not. Because he could quite easily put Martinelli on the right, Trossard on the left, and play Havertz up through the middle. And then your differential Jesus is gone. But I do like the idea of having a Jesus for Christmas.
I honestly, I was toying around with it because Cunha's a ticking time bomb in my team. Yeah. Like, at some point, he's got to go, right? Like, because he's going to be banned for more than 1 week. I just don't know when that is, and I've been eyeing off Jesus.
Yeah. Well, we'll come to that in a minute. I think the Newcastle Ipswich game was, I think we knew that Newcastle was starting to turn it on. Brighton still can't put together any kind of form. I don't think their assets are really, has João Pedro played? Like, I only know he's played the game is because he's got 2 points, but he doesn't seem to be involved too much. United.
Well, Whifford certainly didn't whiff. I'll be here all night, guys.
Let's move on. United Bournemouth. I was surprised with how convincingly this was a win for Bournemouth at Old Trafford.
Yeah, same actually.
looking or watching the highlights, like, United did have chances. Bruno had chances. Ahmad had chances. On another day, this is a draw or United win, but Bournemouth again a little bit in that Forest stead that they are still churning out goals, are still churning out wins away from home at good teams. So keep your eye on
Hey,
them.
speaking of, I've heard a few good things about Hoyson.
Mm.
He's a is he a defender, Hoyson? I
I
think he's a
don't know.
defender.
I'm not that familiar with him. I need to have a bit of
Yeah,
a
let
look
me
through
just have
that.
a quick look. I'm pretty sure he's a defender. I could be horribly wrong here. No, he's a defender. So he came in because is it Senesi
So,
or
yeah,
someone's injured, and that's why Hoyson started playing. Look at his scores. Okay, this is his last four. 15 points against Tottenham, 2 against Ipswich, 2 against West Ham United, 14 points against Man United. He's a defender, man, and he's like gotten two double digit holes in the last four,
mm.
and he costs 4.3 mil.
Mm.
Now he's only just starting regularly now, but legitimately, he looks. All of a sudden, we have a lot of cheap options defense.
The only thing to consider is how long is the other player out for, and how long is he going to actually get a starting berth in this team. Bournemouth, I can't look past Kirkes really if you're going to go Bournemouth because he's the set player. He's going to stay in the defence and he does get forward as well. But
So my understanding with Hoyson, he's not replacing defender. Sorry, it's because I think Tavernier is out,
yes,
and therefore there's like a whole reshuffle. I remember I can't remember who I was watching. Sorry, I can't give you credit on YouTube. I was watching another podcast
yeah,
or vidcast,
yeah.
and they were talking about it, and that Hoyson kept coming up as a potential long-term replacement because someone else was out for a long term. I think I'm looking at the injury list for Bournemouth, and Tavernier is the one who's out with an unknown return date.
Yeah, so Tavernier plays right back or like that right wing back role, kind of similar how we talked about Man United. He plays a little bit ahead of the defence in that right hand side. So that would make sense if Hoyson's playing out of position there. He'd be getting forward, getting in the right areas. So yeah, it is a good option if he's that far up.
Yeah, no, that's someone I'm looking at,
Yeah,
Hoyson, and also Ashley Young. But Ashley Young, their fixtures are terrible for a few more.
yeah. Leicester Wolves. I think we expected a Wolves win. Cunha on the score sheet. Otherwise, nothing much in there. Fulham Southampton. I probably expected Fulham to get across the line in that one, and they didn't. And didn't score, which is surprising. And then it's just the worry train rolling on for City.
What's going on? Really? What? I don't get it. What is going on with City?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I watched the first half of this one live, and Villa were on top. City came back into it. Villa broke with a great goal. Rodgers involved, broke away, played Duran in 1-0. Solo goal for the second one. Foden looks good, scored a goal, but it is hard to look at any City assets at the moment. It's just without knowing what's wrong in that team, it's hard to pick them.
I so so you know I'm looking at replacements for Saka. I legitimately looked at Foden. City's run of fixtures amazing. I just couldn't bring myself to bring Foden in because I'm just like I don't know what's going to happen. Like, is he going to play many minutes? If he plays those minutes, City's kind of crappy at the moment. What's the go?
And that's it, isn't it? Like he might play the minutes and he might, be on the scoreline. But if he's getting a goal in a 2-1 loss, is he worth it?
What's his price point? It depends. Like a goal, 2-1 loss is still fine, right? For midfielder, you might still be okay, right? If he's cheap enough. But if he's expensive, then nah, you're right. It's not worth it. Yeah. Well, shall we look at our teams for this week?
Go for it.
All right. So I've made 2 transfers already, and I won't lie, because in our head-to-head, I've got a few. I've got the. I've got a few. I've got one extra win above you now, right? So I am tempted to go neg 12 or something.
So your screen isn't sharing, just quickly.
Oh, hang on. So let me. Yeah. Okay, so here's my team right now. I'm on leg four. I know that I can take one more loss, and then we're even again. Why just restructure my whole team and literally like play as if I got a wild card this week? I don't know. But anyway, this is my team. Raya at home against Ipswich, Timber, Ipswich, Vardio. I'm keeping Vardio for now. I have sold Vandenberg and brought in Alexander Arnold against Leicester at home. It was him or Van Dyke, and I'm just like, Van Dyke's already 6.5 or something, so I thought for extra half a mil, just get Arnold in. Palmer against Fulham. I sold is Saka and brought in Gordon. I thought about getting Bruno Fernandes in, but I just couldn't have Fernandes and Ahmad. Like, this is a bit too much Man United
Ludicrous.
for me. Yeah, that's a bit too. Just that was a just a bit too much Man United for me. Ahmad versus Wolves, captain Salah against Leicester. For me, it's captaining Salah because Fulham have been pretty tight. Jackson against Fulham. Cunha I still have. I still don't know where he's at with this ban, so I can't transfer him out because he's playing Man United at home.
Mm.
And Isaac against Aston Villa. And then on the bench, I've got Rogers, Colwill, and Robinson. Oh, am I going to regret benching Rogers again? I don't know. Like, Wolves defensively are not great. Newcastle defensively are better. But Aston Villa, are they a better attack than Man United? Yeah, probably. So, I don't know. I don't know. But that's my team. And
Yeah.
I've got 106.1 in the bank. Oh, sorry, 106.1 total squad value, 1.4 in the bank. So I've got capacity to make a few moves. If I sold anyone, I think I'd probably sell Vardio, to be honest.
Mm.
But I know Man City haven't been firing. But if you look at those fixtures, Everton, Leicester, West Ham, right? Brentford, sure, then Ipswich. Their next few are great. Like, can they get clean sheets there? Uh, you know what? The fact that I can't even say that with confidence now tells you something about
Mm.
Manchester United.
Would you
No,
play?
sorry, Man City.
Would you play Robinson third bench or second bench?
Oh, that's a good point.
I I know they play
Yeah,
each other, but I feel like
yeah,
Robinson has more of the assist potential.
yes, I agree. I don't think Chelsea's going to clean sheet, so it would be second bench. Thank you, my friend. I will do that. But you know what's interesting? I never expect my second bench to be hit. Like, I just never expect it to be hit. 'Cause I don't think it ever has before, but I can imagine that one time where it needs to happen and it matters, and I just don't have it set up. So that's a good point. Thank you.
And if you're gonna have two players who don't play, it's gonna be over Christmas. So
That's true.
all right now. So me for this week is
While you do that, I'm going to turn on the light here. It's getting dark outside. Okay, that's better. All right, there we go.
so this is my team as it stands.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, there is no changes. Um, Sells in goal, playing Tottenham. He might come out for Fabianski, not quite sure yet. Robinson, Gabriel Timber. Really hoping for an Arsenal clean sheet there, obviously. Rogers, Palmer, Saka, Salah, Isak, Jackson, João Pedro, with Ahmad, Hall, and Kirkez on the bench. Depending on Salah news, obviously. Saka news, sorry. That's how I'm lining up, but I think I will end up making changes. So the changes that I have in mind for this game week would look a little like this. So I would move João Pedro out and put Gabriel Jesus in, and I would take Saka out and put Luis Diaz in.
Luis Diaz.
Diaz, um, it's between Diaz and Jota. I just feel that with Jota's recent injury, it he might not play as often and have less minutes just to make sure he gets back to pace and doesn't go out injured again. And in the week just gone against Spurs, Luis Diaz played up through the middle with Gakpo on the left, so that gives us another attacking option in a midfield slot. Gabriel Jesus played well. If the Saka injury, I still would like to be involved with that Arsenal attack. But I can't find myself wanting to be on a Martinelli or a Trossard because I just don't know who's going to play over that side. Havertz is a striker in the game, so again is a little hard. Jesus is good, and if he doesn't play, I feel there's more chance if he doesn't start that he doesn't play. But that's my when we talk about like limited differentials. This would be my limited differential is Gabriel Jesus, and then for this game week I would play Sells or Fabianski. I'd play Gabriel, Timber, and probably still Robinson. I'd play Diaz, Rogers, Palmer, Salah, and then Jesus, Jackson, Isak, with Ahmad, Hall, Kirkez, and Fabianski on the bench. And that, it still leaves me 3.5 million in the bank. So then I can, similar to you, move to a Liverpool defender if I wanted to. I still have a little bit of team value as well. So there's other moves I can make. I can look at moving Ahmad to Bruno if that is what kind of kicks off. I do still have the money to look at City midfielders. So there's a few options. I haven't decided yet. I am waiting on Saka news because the amount of times that we've heard Saka's in a moon boot or Saka hasn't trained or Saka's not in the country and then he starts and scores 2 goals. So I'd like to see that he is out, and he is out with a muscle strain or a muscle injury for a few weeks because that will take him out of this game week and the next game week, and then I feel that transferring him out is worth it. If we're just going to see him out for one, even if he was just out for these 2 and then he looked to be back for New Year, I might still look to hold him because we talk about team value. I have built value in him, and I've taken a drop on him, but I haven't lost money yet because I bought him at a certain price point. I was going to go early to get Jesus in before he rose, but couldn't because it's still kind of the 0.1, so I wasn't overly fussed that much, so didn't do it yet. Kind of waiting on some team news just to see what happens really, but some possible changes in there.
I like the Jesus move. I was actually looking at that as well. So I was looking at Saka to Foden, Saka to Luis Diaz, Saka to Jota. I don't know, with Diaz, it was the minutes, and same with Jota. With Jesus, it's the same thing. Cunha to Jesus, I wanted to before to catch the price rise. I'm like, okay, I can catch a double price rise, I reckon, because Jesus is crushing it in that last game. But I want to see them play one more time with Jesus in that role.
Yeah.
I just don't trust Arteta that this wasn't just a once-off against an easier team, right? Like,
Yeah. And for me, it would be a now or never, I think, with Jesus. Like, there's 2 games in a week. He hasn't played a lot of football. He is still fresh. They've got Ipswich up next, which is, a good fixture to play. And then who have they got after that? It's it's Ipswich, and then it's Brentford, and then it's Brighton, and then Spurs. So all games that they could get goals in. So then if I don't go now, I don't think I bring him in. And if I do go now, I think he stays to wildcard. And then if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. My move away would be a quick move to Chris Wood, I think. Would be a quick out and a quick slide across. Wood has been a bit quieter in the last few weeks, but they have had a bit of a harder run. But they are still getting the win, so the team confidence is still going to be there. So I think Wood is still a good good avenue to go down. And then, if Wood really drops off as an injury, I could still look at the move I was going to make a few weeks ago, which was Evan Nielsen at Bournemouth.
I do like Chris Wood. The thing which stopped me was exactly what you said. He's been really quiet lately, and I'm just like... And here's the thing. He was outperforming his stats before. Now this is probably more in line with his stats, which makes him less attractive as an option, to be honest. Because him outperforming his stats justified his price rise to what he is now, right? But if he starts performing as per his stats, that doesn't justify his current price if we are looking at him from an investment point of view.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be scoring once every 4 games, would I just prefer to save the money and have a João Pedro, even have if Cunha's out, even have a Strand Larsen or a Raul Jimenez at a cheaper price point.
Yeah, Fulham is a team that I would look at for that spot. It just depends if it's Muniz or if it's Jimenez. It then does get a bit tricky. And if we kind of have a think about the other striking options that we look, so these are top point scorers going down. You've got Haaland, we're probably too expensive. We don't touch. Cunha's going to get banned. Isak, most of us have. Then you've got Wood. Jackson is highly owned. And then you kind of, you're at Watkins, who isn't consistently performing. You've got Wissa, who, Brentford are on the turn a bit. Solanke, their Spurs are Spursy. Welbeck's injured. And then you get to like Vardy, Strand Larsen, Havertz and Nielsen, Raul Delap. Not consistent. João Pedro. And like there are some, potentials. We said Muniz, who's down there. Hoyland might come into it. Gakpo at Liverpool. There is options, but none of them are really hitting the mark. So I think if you're gonna look at putting in a better midfielder, then you pick a João Pedro or someone who's going to play 90 minutes and just stick them on the bench. If they come on, they come on. And I think for me, I can kind of take that risk with Jesus at the moment. If he doesn't play, if he's not going to be in the team, he goes on the bench. He comes on if he comes on. They just skips past the sub if not. But I think I've got João Pedro at the moment, and Brighton aren't doing a lot. They're not getting penalties. He's not on the score sheet. He's not assisting. So I may as well take a risk with Gabriel Jesus. Like, what's 1 point instead of 2?
Yeah, honestly, I like it because this isn't the first. This is the second hat trick Gabriel Jesus has scored in the last couple of weeks because he played midweek and he scored a hat trick as well.
Yeah, and he's on form. He's got confidence, and it would, in my eyes, it would be silly for Arteta to take him out now because he seems to be a very confident player. Once he's in a run, he does well. He loses that, and it dwindles a bit. And now's the opportunity for him to get some good points.
Not a bad call at all. If tomorrow I got news Cunha was out, I wouldn't know who to move to. It'd probably be Jesus, right? And here's the thing: if I had the money, it would probably be moved back up to Haaland. But the only reason I'd do that would be surely at some point Haaland hits form again. But that is just so much money to spend. Like, I can squeeze Haaland into my team. It's just that is so much money to spend on a player that is just not firing at the moment.
You tell you what we need this year is we need a Julian Alvarez. He would be perfect just to have a little bit of a dab at. Stick him in. It's not too expensive. Might get some returns. Good fixtures.
And isn't that last season, Alvarez played that role? When Haaland wasn't worth it, Alvarez or Haaland was injured, Alvarez was the one you'd park money in. Alvarez and Foden. We just don't have that this year.
And don't you think it's a bit ironic? This is the year that you kind of think that had Alvarez still been there, you've seen Edison get rotated out for a few weeks. He's injured now, but you've seen Walker be rotated out. You've seen Foden be rotated out. Well, I think we would have seen Haaland rotated out by now, and we would have seen Alvarez up in that number 9 spot a little bit.
For sure. Interesting. All right, there we go.
Have you had any thoughts about the next game week that starts just after Christmas?
Yeah, look, I looked at it, and if I look at what moves I'd make, I'll just share my screen again. If I look at what moves I'd make, like this is the game week after Christmas. Wait, is it the game week? No, this is this is the game week after Christmas. We got Leicester, Man City. So here's the thing. This is why I'd still keep Vardy. Famous last words, but this is why I still keep Vardy. I do want Kluivert. No, not Kluivert. Sorry, the other guy. I can't pronounce his name. The one I was just talking. Huijsen.
Huijsen, yeah.
Huijsen from Bournemouth. Like because
it's good sources, Huijsen.
Yes, from good sources. But they play Fulham. I don't expect a clean sheet. If I were to bring in Huijsen, it would be this week. But I'm already on a neg 4. Honestly, I don't think there's any transfers I would make. The only thing would be this. It would if I did make a transfer for the game week after, it would be bringing in a Forest defender. I don't think I'd bring in Aina again just because of his price point at $5 million. Although he's scored enough times. He's got a few double-digit scores to justify it, but I don't know. I think I just want access to the Nottingham Forest defense, and Arsenal's fixtures. You'll notice start I don't think there's a clean sheet against Brentford. I don't think there's a clean sheet against Spurs, or one against Villa, or one against Man City. So I might hop off double Arsenal defense, and Raya might become Sells like you have, or Timber becomes another Forest defender. That's probably the only transfer I'll make. And once again, it'll come down to our mate Cunha. Like, if he's out this week, I'm transferring out this week. But if he plays this week, then we'll just have to see. And you've got more experience when it comes to this sort of stuff. Like, when is he going to get banned? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a difficult one because he was obviously given a few days to respond to the allegations. Are they going to drop a ban on him Christmas Eve? I doubt it. Are they going to drop a ban on him before the Boxing Day ones? No. Are they going to drop it on him, before the 29th? Maybe, but I doubt it. I'd say it's probably going to get through the festive fixtures and then he'll be looking at it at the end. Um, the only thing that would be changed would be if they've come to a decision and it's not timely enough to get it in for Boxing Day with the closures and stuff, then he might be banned from the week after. But I think I would expect him to be banned from early January if he's going to get banned. He's not had a disciplinary problem, so there's always an off chance that he gets like a suspended. Do it again and you get this and a bit of a fine. So I think it's more likely he gets banned given its violent conduct, but
Mate, that was pretty egregious. Like, you can't say, "Oh, I tripped." Right? That was a pretty
no, I'm not saying he's going to say that he tripped, but
No.
stranger things have happened. But
It'd be funny if everyone's just thinking he's gonna get banned, and between now and him actually getting banned, he just keeps scoring in that time.
and I mean
Which can really...
this has happened before. Is that someone on the edge of a ban goes and gets a couple of hat tricks? I can't remember. I want to say it was Suarez, but I don't know. I don't know if my mind just jumps to Suarez, but
It's always going to be Suarez. Did he? He probably got banned for biting someone.
it was either Lucas Suarez or Diego Costa, so it was one of the bad boys. But so I will show you. I'll use the FPL Hub stuff to show you what my game week could look for the week after. So if I do make the Jesus and the Diaz move, this is how this week 19, yeah. So I'd be sitting with this here, and I don't think that I would make another change. Gabriel and Timber at Ipswich. No, it's flicked back. At Brentford is it's not great, but I think that there's potential there. There's definitely some goals there. Sells at Everton, I think he's in. Kirkes at Fulham. I've got him over Hall at Man United and Robinson at Bournemouth because I think there's probably goals in those other two. Hall and Robinson probably switch for me though. Captain Salah. It's close between him and Palmer at Ipswich. I just think I just go with the inform, and that's Salah. That's obviously going to be Luis Diaz. That's changed back. Ahmad's still there. That'll still be Jesus and then Jackson and Isak. So I don't think I would make any further changes, but yeah, that's how it would line up for the week after because it is a bit hard with it being so short the game week. So because obviously we got 26, 27 games, 28 no games, 29 there's games, 29 30. So lots of games thick and fast.
Let's see how it plays out. A bit of me, I brought in Colwill. I make this error a few times where I bring in a player, then 2 weeks later I transfer him out. Even he might go for that Bournemouth defender I'm looking at. There's a few people I'm looking at. Munoz from Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Ashley Young from Everton. And Huijsen from Bournemouth. Those three I'm looking at defensively. There's not enough defender slots, to be honest.
This might just be my Crystal Palace bias from the beginning of the year, but I would just have a look at how Crystal Palace play in the next game. They got hammered by Arsenal. Eze is out for the future. They weren't great when he was out earlier in the season. They struggled before. I could see them struggling again. There's been a little bit of talk about one of their midfielders. I used to be at Everton. I can't remember his name. I'm going to look him up because that's just bad podcasting to just leave it like that. There's some talk around him, and I'm just looking, and I'm not overly confident in anything that Crystal Palace are doing. And it seems a bit early to get on him, and that kind of spreads to the whole team. Really, I just kind of worry that they will just fall to bits again.
Speaking of Eze, I've got to say,
Sa,
yeah. I've got to say, right, Isaac got a lot of hype beginning of the season. He has proven himself. Eze, yeah, still not yet.
and that with him it is difficult because it was always for the last few seasons been the Eze and Elise show, and they've played really well together. And Elise's gone off to Munich and has continued to do his Elise things. So I think Eze is good, but I don't think he has that talismanic potential of being able to do it by himself. He isn't how Palmer's been. He isn't a Gerrard or a Lampard who just picks the team up and goes. Like if there's no one to play off, he does seem to struggle, which is where it's a bit hard. But if he can strike up a balance, and Mateta can start coming back into that and doing well, then maybe they've got something going. But yeah, I would just be cautious at the moment.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well,
Should we have a look at some fixtures and have a look at what we think is going to happen for the next couple?
let's do that. Heck yeah. And share your screen, and we'll have a gander.
Figure out the right one. Here we go. All right. Game week 18, Boxing Day fixtures. Start off with a classic, Man City Everton. This has got 0-0 written all over it.
I was just about to say I can see this 0-0, or keeping in classic Man City tradition of recently, 1-0 Everton.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the 0-0. I think it's. I don't think.
Yeah.
I hope that City haven't slipped that far that quickly because that's bad news for everyone. But I don't see Everton have got a lot of attacking potential at the moment, so I'm going to go 0-0.
Yeah, me too.
The Bournemouth Palace, considering everything I just said, I don't see this being a slam dunk for Bournemouth. I think 2-1, Bournemouth.
So, in saying that, do you think Palace are better than Man United at the moment? Because Bournemouth 3-0 against United away.
No, Palace aren't as good as United, but I do think that United should have scored in that game, and I think it should have been closer. I don't think the scoreline says everything. Whereas I think Palace will be scrappy, but I think Bournemouth will get over the line.
Okay. I would say, yeah, I could see a 2-1 happening as well.
This one is tough. Stamford Bridge.
I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1 here.
Yeah, this is because I think I'm going to go 1-0 to Chelsea, but I also think Fulham could score. But I don't think Chelsea are going to score a whole heap. So I think 1-0 is probably most likely.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Fulham can score, but you're right. Like, I don't see this being a Chelsea absolute destruction.
No. Newcastle Villa. I think last season this would have been a banging game. I think this year it might just favour Newcastle. I think we'll go 3-1 Newcastle.
I can see a high score in this game, to be honest. I look, to me, when I say high score, I'm talking maybe like a 4-2 Newcastle.
Sure. This next one is tricky to pick because are we saying that the 6-3 was the Spursy week, or is that their down week? I could see this either way, really. And I'm going to say it's a Spurs 2-1 win.
You reckon Spurs winning against Forest?
Yeah, I think Forest are doing good, but this is the kind of team that Spurs seem to do well against. Like top teams, they seem to either hold them or struggle. Lower teams, they seem to lose 1-0. I think coming off the back of a defeat to Liverpool at the London Stadium, I think they'll want to come out and do some stuff. And I think Maddison and Kulu will want to be really putting down the foot to get in that team. So yeah, I think Spurs will shake off the turkey, and they'll pull out 2-1.
Wow, see. I know. I can see how Forest are struggling scoring at them. Not, they're not struggling scoring, but they're not as they're not high. They're not a high scoring team, right? Spurs defense not great, but Forest defense has been pretty good.
But they
I
did
don't.
just
I
lose
don't
3
know.
0 to City.
Yes.
Just to complicate things further.
Yeah. Oh, this is hard. I was gonna honestly. I was gonna say 2-0, 1-0 Forest.
Cool.
Yeah.
What do you think about this next one?
Nah. That's what I think. Give me a 0-0.
Yeah, 1-1.
Yeah. Or Wolves, Man United. Okay. Okay.
Are we doing that
It
with
depends.
Cunha, without Cunha?
Yeah, I was gonna say it depends if Cunha plays. If Cunha plays, I could see this being like a 3-2 United.
I think 2-2.
Yeah, nice, nice. Liverpool, Leicester. What? 3-0 Liverpool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, Brighton, Brentford. What are your thoughts?
I am going to go with a 1-1.
I'm gonna go 2-1 Brentford.
Yeah, that's my second would be 2-1 Brentford. But I think yeah, I like the 1-1.
Yeah, and final Arsenal versus Ipswich.
4-1 Arsenal.
I really hope so, man. I hope so. I need Arsenal just to keep winning, please. Um, I wonder if Saka's going to play. If Saka's out, I reckon Jesus will play,
Yeah.
100%. Right? I'd say a three. I want it to be a 3-0 Arsenal because I want those clean sheets, baby.
This for me screams don't risk him game. You should be able to get this done without Saka. They've put 5 past Leicester, whoever the hell they played this week, without much difficulty, without Saka for most of the game. This should be an easy win without needing to play him. So any logical manager would just say he's not playing. End of story. But it is Arteta. And he might just decide, you know what? I'll play him from the start. Just because.
Oh, please. Do you know what this game? You talk about Spurs be Spursy. Arsenal has this thing where against big teams they'll show up,
Yeah.
and against teams that they should beat, they lose or they draw.
No.
And this just has those. I just get this weird feeling where Arsenal's going to walk away with this from like with a 0-0 or a 2-2, and it's going to be like, guys, what the hell, right? But no, I would like a three, like a two, even a 2-0 draw, a 2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah.
I just give me a clean sheet, baby.
Yeah, I'm going 4-1 because I have the double Arsenal defence, and I know double Arsenal defence for me means no returns. That's how it was at the start of the season. That's how it is now. So 4-1. I'm gonna say we might have a Timber assist. One of them will score a point. One of them will score nothing, and they'll let one in like the 89th minute.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um,
Awesome, awesome.
all right, so let's just quickly bounce through this. So this is game week 19. Starts on the 29th. We won't record again until after this game week. Unfortunately, sorry, we have family time. It's Christmas. You'll forgive us. Um, this one, this round of fixtures is obviously hard to predict. Going off of, we don't know what is going to come before. But I think if we go off our previous predictions, I think Leicester City should be a 2-0 City win.
Should. I'm throwing out 1-0 City win.
Cool. Palace Southampton, I think you'd think Palace would get over the line in this one, so I'm going to go 2-0 Palace.
Is Eze, depends on Eze, if Eze's back. Because Southampton have grinded out a few games which I thought they would lose convincingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go 0-0 for Southampton Palace.
Cool. I'm kind of looking at this a little bit with. We've had a couple of close game weeks where there's lots of trainings. Some of these mid-table teams have got still played a few games and smaller squads, and then this is the time of year when that tiredness does kick in. That's where I'm kind of going with my 2-0 Palace. Everton Forest, I can only see as a 0-0.
Yeah, that's got 0-0 written all over
Yeah.
it.
Fulham Bournemouth is a 2-2.
Whoa, okay, yeah, yeah. I can see that happening. I'm gonna go 2-1 Bournemouth.
Yep. Cool. Spurs Wolves. I'm gonna
Is
go.
Cunha playing?
3-2 Spurs.
Yeah, I can see that happening. A 3-1 Spurs. Yeah,
Yeah. What about West Ham Liverpool?
I can go 2-0 Liverpool.
2-1. We just Jared Bowen just seems to score against us.
Nah, okay, all right.
Uh, Villa Brighton.
I know Brighton haven't been great in scoring, but I don't think Villa's been great either, to be honest.
No.
And I know Brighton can they can lock up when they want to. I see this being like a 1-0 Aston Villa.
Yeah, I 2-1 Villa. I think Brighton, they have still found a way to score the odd goal, and I think they will still do that.
Ipswich Chelsea. With Chelsea showing up.
Yeah. And this has as much to do with what happens in this game, which Chelsea show up, as to what happens to Ipswich at Arsenal. But I think this is a 3-1 Chelsea.
Yeah, I was gonna say like a 4-1 or 4-2 Chelsea, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Man United Newcastle. I would say 3-1 2-1 Newcastle. 2-1
Yeah,
Newcastle.
I'm going 3-2 Newcastle.
Yeah, nice. Brentford Arsenal. Yeah, I don't want to be holding two Arsenal defenders in this game. I'm gonna go 3-2 Arsenal.
I'm going 3-1.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Got a few fixtures here. I'm excited. I want to make a lot of transfers. There's so many defenders I want, but I don't want to keep negging to oblivion. So I think I'm just going to sit tight. Let's see how Cunha does. Let's see if you transfer in Gabriel Jesus. Is it time for Jesus? I think it could be time for Jesus. Yeah. Any closing remarks from your end?
no, I think it's going to be a good couple of weeks to be. It's really the time where we need to start thinking about whether we start putting the foot on the accelerator a little bit. What we're going to do, where it's been a few weeks with some teams with some high wins, and we've got a good couple of game weeks where we should see some goals coming into the 1st of January. So we'll record before game week 20, I think it is. But in that week, we've got Newcastle Spurs, which could be a great game, and Liverpool Man United. So that's going to be another cracking game week coming into the new year. So, yeah, I think all there is to say, Andy, is that I hope you spending Christmas on top of our little league, and I hope you spend New Year at the bottom.
That's hilarious. We shall see, my friend. We shall see. It depends. Yeah, I'll see how much I'm negging. I'll see how much I'm negging. I can't help myself, right? It's like breathing to me. Can't stop, won't stop. Neg 4 every day.
Well, I mean, you've got to give everyone a chance, don't you? You've got to take some minus points here and there to let everyone else catch up.
I'll be so curious on like this season how many trades I close out. Like, is there a is there like a different league for it sort of balances out the number of trades you've made and your overall points and rank?
Yeah, I mean, when we get to close to the end of the season, I'm going to try and look. There was something I used last year that kind of compared your team game week 1 to game week, whatever the points you got, to see how you went along. And it kind of did work out the trades you made and how valuable your trades were point wise, so how many points you gained per trade. And last year it was awful, and I was like, every trade that I made was kind of like a -1 point because I made so many that they didn't average out very well. So I would be quite curious this year because I have really throttled those, and I don't take the minuses as much and not as big. And I know you do go hard on them, but for that team value. So it'll be interesting to see what spits out of that when we kind of come close to game week 38.
It's interesting how like that tool sounds super useful, and I almost don't want to know mine because I like trading.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just like I just want to keep trading. But the thing which I wonder how it takes into account is I trade for team value, not so much for the person to get a better score. Right? It helps. Does it take into account that 10 game weeks later, you can just buy a better team because you have a higher team value. That's the thing, which will be interesting.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how detailed it is, but like you would then expect to see that your latter trades would have a higher point value because they're getting a bit better. So you would think it would average out as it went by. For me, it
That's true.
definitely was just a, a visual reminder of, don't constantly go for hunches. Don't constantly make -4s, -8s. It's not the best strategy because you will lose out. It's just like gambling. Some of them you're going to hit big with, some of them you're not, and over the long run, they're probably going to work out more negative than positive. So that's what I got out of it. So I'll have a look again, but we are halfway after this game week. Next time we speak, we'll be halfway through. We will be at
And we've got a wild card.
and our new chip.
Ooh. All right. Well, you have a great Christmas and New Year's break, Sam, and because we're not going to talk until after Christmas, we'll speak before New Year's though, when we potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for everyone watching, have a good holiday festive period. Best of luck in FPL, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Merry Christmas, everyone. See you next year. See ya.
So yeah.